China right now has some of the least freedom of expression it's had in generations. Despite China having freedom of speech in its constitution, it is almost completely disregarded at this point. Independent journalism is being prosecuted throughout the country, with almost every remaining news outlet being state-controlled. Online religious discussion is generally prohibited, making sure that only approved religious teachings circulate. Almost every social media app you know is blocked in China, leaving only Chinese-controlled social media apps with complete government surveillance. There are many other restrictions as well, severely limiting the freedom of expression for Chinese citizens. I want to look at two current outside players involved in trying to regain rights for Chinese citizens: the United Nations and Amnesty International. Starting with Amnesty International, one of their main strategies is shareholder activism. Essentially, they buy shares of large companies that, in some form, enable censorship and other demands from China and pressure them to not comply. They typically do this by looking at a potential change that enables censorship and explaining to the board how going through with it could cause financial losses for the company and, by extension, the other shareholders. The United Nations, specifically the United Nations Human Rights Council, typically uses the global spotlight to pressure China. One thing they do is conduct a review of all member countries every 5 years or so, called the Universal Periodic Review, and highlight any violations while letting other nations give recommendations. This has been used to get China to loosen restrictions on internet communication in Hong Kong specifically. A small step, but a step nonetheless. The United States, while significantly better for freedom of expression, isn't perfect either. In a similar fashion to Chinese censorship, platforms in the United States have become increasingly censored over time. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram have been criticized by the right for banning content that conflicts with government narratives or progressive ideals, while platforms like YouTube have been criticized by the left for compromising user safety in the interest of profit by monetizing triggering content. That said, it would be dishonest of me to say the United States is nearly as bad as China in this regard. We still have effective governmental free speech, and most censorship happens because of private companies rather than the government itself. For instance, in the US, you can make a news article criticizing a government decision and be okay, while in China, if you did the same, you could have your news company shut down or even face prison. I hate to be a downer, but I'm not very hopeful that China's freedom of expression will be fixed anytime soon. Amnesty International gets many small wins, which is great, but I don't see how they can make a large-scale change anytime soon. The UN shows a bit more promise, but we'll just have to wait and see whether the world stage will make the Chinese government crack. The challenge activists will face is getting the government to change the existing policies and their mindset, but maybe, with enough time and pressure, they can make it happen and save China's freedom of expression.